Hello and welcome to the Real Talk podcast with Kelly and Avery. We're your hosts, Kelly Berger and Avery Roberts. We are two rare ladies living with congenital muscular dystrophy, CMD.
The show where we amplify voices, break down barriers, and celebrate the power of disability identity. Whether you're living with a disability, supporting someone who is, or just here to learn, you're in the right place.
Where wit, wisdom, and reels are all part of the party. So sit down with us. We're tearing down stereotypes, one reel at a time.
It's a front row seat to bold conversations and the thriving disabled lifestyle, and we're ready to get gloriously uncomfortable.
Let's get loud, proud, and empowered. Real power, real stories. So we are joined by a dear friend of ours on the show today. We have Andy Rusch here.
Thank you
Andy,
guys
it's so
for having me.
to be here with you. Yeah, so if you have listened to a full episode of Real Talk from start to finish, you may already be familiar with a little bit about Andy. He's our guy that put together our intro and outro music. We were so honored and so thrilled to have your creative talents in our podcast.
We're so excited to tell the story behind the sound and the beat of our, signature intro and outro, and just how it kind of came together, how accessibility and creativity really intersected, and why it's so important to include disabled artists, not just in the conversation, but behind the scenes. And that's something that Kelly and I really wanted in our show and in our podcast, just shaping how it's told. So Andy, we're so excited to have you here, and you've been such a big part of this project, and we can't wait to finally talk about how this all came together, because I think some people might look at it as like a small part of the journey, but really I think it was a huge part. That's kind of when Kelly and I felt like everything officially came together. And so before we get into the collaboration, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into music?
Sure. So again, thank you guys for having me. It's an honor that you guys asked me to do it. So a little bit about me. I actually have Becker muscular dystrophy, and I was diagnosed when I was maybe 5 or 6 years old, and it's not really affected much of my life other than like stairs and that kind of thing nowadays. When I was younger, it wasn't really so much of an issue. Um, And I think I used to be into sports when I was a kid, and that kind of started going away once I couldn't keep up. And so I think that's when I kind of started leaning more into like the music, and like I did like musicals and theater and that kind of thing in high school. So that's when it kind of started taking shape, when I started shifting into more like the music side of things.
Yeah, I know as soon as our little podcast adventure started cooking up with me and Avery, I immediately was like, oh my gosh, I think I know the perfect person who I
Yeah.
wanted to be a part of with this creative journey. And I was like, I remember texting you just being like, so we're starting something, don't have a lot of details, but like, are you down to create music? Because that was like one of the things that we had always bonded over as friends. And as we were into some of the same music. And I just remember texting you and you were like, yeah, like I like gave you no context and you were just like down totally. So, but yeah, so just like I know I gave you some direction, but not like a ton. I wanted you to just like roll with it.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I think I know, right? We
pun
get ready for puns,
intended.
pun intended. But yeah, I know you really like brought it to life and just totally like without even like giving you too much to go on, like just totally I think I want to say nailed it. Like nailed it exactly
Yeah.
what the vibe is. And I really think like the music is key, like what kind of hooks you into. I know with me for like anything that I'm like watching or doing, I'm just like, ooh, you have that sweet intro and then like the
Mhm.
outro, like going out with a bang. So can you kind of explain like the process of how that came together, like what you chose, like what was that for you?
Sure. So I remember your notes, and I remember the first time I tried it, it was, I think it had the vibe, but it was just too like murder podcasting. Like it was just super
I was a
slow and
little like
like
dun dun dun.
it
Yeah.
was a little like creepy. So I was like, yeah, that's not quite. And I remember I sent it to you and you're like, that's not quite it. And that was helpful because it helped me kind of get a better idea of like where to take it. And so I really looked at your notes and I was like, okay, they want like a flowing, soaring guitar. So I was like, let's build it up. And I just kind of started from that point on. I found like a guitar tone that really kind of fit what you guys are looking for. And I tend to find like a drum first to go off of because like when you record, there's something called a click track. And I personally hate working with those because
Right? Yeah, it throws you
right,
off.
because
It can.
you lose it too when you're trying to record. You're like listening for that click, and then you get off because you're listening for the click. And so, I've found that like drums in like that natural setting really help me kind of keep the tempo more. And then from that, I just kept adding things and like trying things. Um, the biggest thing for me is just noodling on guitar most of the time, and like just seeing what works and like just seeing if it fits and going from there.
Just letting it flow for
Yeah.
sure. Do you use any like tools or accessibility features? Or are you pretty just free flowing with what you're able to do with your abilities?
For the most part, yeah. I don't think it really affects my music abilities. I usually sit when I'm recording just because it's less fatiguing, of course. But other than that, like, once I have the setup good to go, like it's pretty easy going. I use GarageBand, so a lot of the stuff that I need for like pedals and things are in that already. So I don't have to get like a whole lot of gear out to just record and do cool stuff.
Yeah, you don't need like a whole setup. I think a lot of people
Right.
think it's like you've got a whole recording studio, a whole setup, but you really don't need it when you have
Right.
GarageBand. Um, but I remember talking with Kelly, and we both agreed that we really wanted it to be ours. And between my dance background and Kelly's music background, we were particular with what we wanted, like you were saying, Andy, and we knew what we wanted and we knew what we didn't want and what we wanted to combine. Kelly and I had found a couple tracks online and we were like, we like this from that one and this from that one and like just go and run with it. And you really nailed that balance, Andy, and it really does feel like ours. And I feel like what we also wanted was an intro that was good for the intro and an outro that's good for the outro. Like really going out with a bang for the outro and having something that is inviting for the intro. But it's wild to think back to the very beginning, all the tracks we tried
Starting
out.
line. Yeah.
Yeah, all the tracks we tried out until we felt like we got the perfect one that really encompassed the podcast. Cause like we hadn't even like recorded yet. Like it was the first one of the first things that we wanted to make sure was set. Um, but just kind of switching gears a little bit, we talk a lot about like how disability isn't a limitation, but part of the process. Can you share a little bit about that and like how it influences the way that you create?
Sure. So I think the biggest thing for me is like I can't play guitar for an extended period of time. Like a lot of people probably can that are, at the same level as me as a musician. But um, so I think that recording is really a good outlet for me instead of like, say, like performing live where you have to be like on stage for, like an hour at a time. I can just sit down and record something for like, 30 minutes and then set it down and be done. And I think, that's kind of why I tend to do more like recording stuff um, instead of like more of the performing side. Um, but yeah, like I said, the setup is nice for me. I use just like an interface that I plug into my guitar, and that's pretty much it. Like it's not complicated, it's not heavy, you know. Um, and I think when I've written like lyrics for like the band that I'm in, if you can call it a band, I don't know. It's just two of us, but a lot of my songs deal with like my experience with my disability. And a lot of the songs I write are about like living that life and like learning how to maybe not cope with it, but just embrace it in some ways and just trying to be empowered from it instead of seeing it as, you know, a complete negative thing, which it's not. I think we can all agree it's a common misconception that disability is a bad thing. And to me, like it's made me who I am, and I'm sure you guys would agree.
For sure.
Absolutely. And you mentioned a little bit about your musical background. Can you take us through like your journey? I know you've been in, I think, several
Sure.
bands. For now, you want to give a little snippet about how that's
Sure.
transpired?
Yeah, so I actually started playing the trumpet when I was a kid, and that was kind of when I shifted from sports to music. And there wasn't a whole lot I could do with that as far as like bands aside from like maybe ska. And I wasn't that good to play trumpet for that. So I started playing guitar and bass with my friend Brett, who I've still been in a band with. And we've just been through so many different bands. We had an emo band at one point where it was just crazy, just emo
I remember
music.
I was like, bring back emo Andy. Emo Andy, yes.
Yeah, there's a picture of me somewhere. And I used to perform back then when it was like kind of like that high school, post high school time. Um, but yeah, I haven't really done much of that lately, just because I think it's a lot just to not only like set up and do those things, but also just playing for that amount of time.
Right. It's
Um,
a lot.
but yeah, we
Understand.
we've been playing music since high school together, and we still, we have a thing on Spotify that I think we started last year because we're like, let's just share it with people. Who cares? Like, why not? What are we making it for if nobody's hearing it? So we just kind of keep going with it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you mentioned Spotify, like where can people find it? Like Spotify, do you guys like do like in-person performances at places? Like where can people
Sure.
look into it more?
We have a page on Spotify. I think that's the only thing. I think we've done a few things on YouTube, but it's called Pic2, PIC2, like the Roman numeral, because when we were in a band in high school, we were called Partner in Crime. And so we wanted to kind of pay homage to that because we kind of took a break for a couple of years. And so the Pic2 is kind of like the second iteration of that
I love
experience.
it. Oh my God, that's such a cool background. Kelly, if you ever start a band, I want something cool like that.
Okay. High expectations, right? I know. Yeah, I'd have to really. I don't know. That probably thinking a name would probably like be like the hardest barrier. I feel like for me because I'd be so like it's gotta be perfect. Like, some just monumental meaning behind it all. And one thing I always admired about you, Andy, is you do an awesome creative thing that you name your guitars.
I do.
What?
Right?
I
So
I
didn't
I
know
do.
yeah,
that.
tell us about that. Tell us about all of your babies.
Sure. So I have a wine red Les Paul um, that I named Thora because I'm really into like Norse mythology, and Thora is kind of like the female version of Thor, and so it just felt right. And it's just kind of it's a heavier guitar too, so it just felt like it had that vibe to it. And then I think when I first met you, Kelly, we were talking about I have like a bluish like
And she's so pretty too.
it is,
She's so
and that's
pretty.
and that's named Neptune. So
Like some spacey vibes.
yeah,
Because she's kinda
it's
got that light tone to it. Yeah, that's
so
awesome. I think that's really I know a lot of people, like, name a lot of their mobility equipment too, like, name their chairs and stuff, and
for
I was
sure.
like, "Oh,
Yeah,
name your guitar." Yeah, like, why not?
of course. Why
And that's
wouldn't you?
awesome. I thought it was badass, so yeah,
Yeah.
definitely worth mentioning for sure.
That's so cool. I love that.
So I know I think were we the first, podcast that you provided music for? Can I say that we're the
Yeah,
first?
yeah. You are the first
Oh,
for
okay, did we
sure.
get claiming rights? 'Cause I think I see that you also have been coached for other podcasting now?
Yeah. Ty Martin
Yeah.
actually approached me and was like, "Hey, you did such a great job with this. Would you be up for doing that?" And I was like,
Wait, we
"Yeah,
got him first, people. We were first.
you were first.
Not to get possessive, but, we know the
You were
talent
first."
first, so.
for
That's
sure.
awesome. I mean, would you ever consider that as like a potential career path to provide music for different outlets, or what would you see
I
with that?
I would definitely be open to it. I think for me, it's more fun to just create it anyway, so it's an honor to just be asked for me. But I mean, I think I have some degree of talent with it. I know before you had asked me, I think I felt somewhat confident to do it because we did like this 48-hour film festival in town. So like you get 48 hours to like write the script and shoot it. And the
My
group that I
gosh,
was with,
pressure.
I did like the music for it, and it was like this spooky horror film. And so it was just a lot of like snippets, so like 10, 15-second songs. And so I was like, yeah, I think I could probably come up with something for you guys. So I felt,
We know talent when we see it, Kelly, do
Yes,
we?
love it. Called it first. Yes. Just don't forget us, okay, Andy.
Yeah.
I will not.
Yeah. Okay. So what advice would you have? I know, feel like you've gained your confidence that you could like do these creative projects and things. What would you say to other people out there that may be, struggling or toying with expressing their creativity? Like what would you say to them, other creators out there, to kind of get to that level?
I think the biggest thing is just try it. I think there's so much technology too nowadays to help you like create music or paint or writing. A lot of people in the disability community are writers. Just go for it. And if it's weird, it's weird. Like, I think some of my stuff, like with the band that I'm in, like we wrote a song about a witch inspired by Hocus Pocus because it's just something we wanted to do. And, we recorded a song a couple weekends ago where I'm like a narrator and he's a goblin voice. And like we just get weird with it, I think is my big tip. And just try it. There's a lot of technology that helps you, make music. And, don't be afraid of failing at it because like, with the song, like I said before, like I sent you something and it wasn't quite it. And I was like, that's fair. So we tried again and we found it. And so don't give up, keep trying and just try something new.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like that
Great
goes
advice.
for anything in life, really. I love that
Right.
advice. But let's talk about the bigger picture a little bit, representation behind the scenes. 'Cause I feel like whether you live with a disability or not, but just like in general, the people behind the scenes don't get so much credit, I feel, and fear as well. But because people often think of inclusion as who's on screen or on the mic, but not who's mixing the sound, who's editing the story, or shaping the tone. I feel like inclusion in production changes everything, really. Like when disabled creators are part of the process, accessibility, and inclusion becomes organic because it's built in like from the start and not added later. Because I feel like it's always an afterthought. Um, do you think you could speak to that a little bit and just like your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think you guys asking me to do this was a huge honor just because I knew it was important to both of you too that, somebody within that community did the music for you. And I was really taken back by that. I think for me the biggest struggle that I've had in my life is like I don't look disabled. Like if a stranger passes me on the street, they're not going to know that I can't go upstairs. There's no way they would know. Um And so, going off of what you said with behind the scenes, I think it kind of plays into that. You wouldn't know that I'm a disabled musician without, me sharing the story. And so I think it's really cool that you guys are trying to share those stories of people that are maybe behind the scenes. Um,
I love that. That's so sweet, Andy, and it's so you're so right. Like just that is our mission, and not only mine and Kelly's mission, but
mhm.
everyone. Like we can't do it alone, and so we were so happy to have found you and the work that you do and that you were willing to partner with us. Like, I think we just kind of threw you into it in a way,
And I
and,
was like,
like,
"Oh, yeah, let's just throw it. Yeah, let's
yeah,
do
and
it."
I would have not wanted it any other way. Like, I love the sound. I think hopefully whenever anyone hears that sound, they get excited and, are looking forward to what's ahead, with the podcast and with the episode, and then kind of feel energized after with that outro. But that is, mine and Kelly's mission, and we're just so excited and looking forward to kind of how we all together can advance that. So thank you for saying that.
Whereas,
I wanted to give you a moment to talk about Morgan Wolf Press. Um, can you share a bit about how it started, what kinds of projects you focus on, and what drives that mission of yours?
yeah, absolutely. So let's see. In July of this year, I started a indie publishing company for queer and disabled voices, and it was important for me because I, being a musician, I wrote lyrics. That's where I kind of started writing, and so you can say it's poetry or whatever, but I started writing lyrics, and I was like, these are pretty good. And so it kind of grew from that, and now I write stories, and I eventually got to the goal of wanting to like publish something. And so I started looking at like the traditional publishing route, and it just seemed like there was so many hurdles to just getting any sort of recognition for that. And so I was like, what if I look into self-publishing? So then I went down that rabbit hole. And eventually I was like, there's a lot of small publishing companies out there. Why can't I do this for my community? And so that's kind of where that idea kind of struck a chord with me, is because I was looking at um, trying to get my stuff published. And I was like, in the meantime, I can also help other voices as well. And so that's kind of where we're at. It's kind of a slow journey so far, but we're learning as we go, and we're gonna try to really get some more disabled voices on bookshelves, hopefully soon.
That's
I love
awesome.
that. Yeah, we're all about amplifying those the disabled community's voices. So definitely need more of that. And we're excited for you to be a part of that and to help uplift
For sure,
others. That's awesome. Super
for
cool.
sure. Yeah, and I can't take credit for that idea because, of course, you guys are doing it as well.
Yeah, it's for supporting each other for sure.
For sure.
Got to.
Do you have any upcoming releases, Andy, or anything you could share, like, that you're particularly excited about?
So the thing that I'm working on currently is trying to just get my collection of short stories out that kind of relate to like my journey with my disability, and like how I've started to kind of embrace that and learn from it. And so it's still work in progress. I'm still working on like cover art and that kind of stuff and finding editors, but something I am trying to do to get more people involved is I'm trying to get people from this community to be like those editors and proofreaders and cover artists and that kind of thing, to just really amplify and show those voices that maybe aren't recognized as easily.
Great. Well, our listeners maybe can help out with that. So get
Yeah,
at Andy
please.
if you have any of those talents
For
for
sure.
sure. Yeah.
Towards the end of each episode, we always ask our guests what their willpower moment is. So something that really captures a moment where you felt empowered or proud of, um, in your creative or personal journey. I love what you said about, the difference between a visible and an invisible disability. That's a conversation that isn't brought up or talked about enough. Like, someone might be disabled and you have no idea. And so we always say it's important to not make assumptions. And I think that kind of ties into that. But can you share a little bit about like what that moment, whatever it is, is for you or was for you?
Yeah. So I think my big moment is realizing how important community is. I remember when I was a kid, I went to, excuse me, MD summer camp, and I felt really out of place because I didn't have a lot of struggles back then. And I made so many friends and so many connections with that I'm still friends with now. And once I became an adult, I kind of backed off a little bit just because, life gets busy and working and stuff. And I miss that. So I think I'm trying to work on building that community up again with like the publishing and like creating music, and like I'm reaching out to other artists that are disabled. I mean, like, hey, do you want to collaborate on something? And so, yeah, I think embracing your disability and learning that there's a community that can help you through that, you know, is really positive and helpful. And that's really changed, my outlook on how I see my disability and my life with it.
Yeah. Kelly knows MDA summer camp comes up a lot on this podcast.
Yes, they're big fans, man. We should be sponsored,
For
right?
sure.
Sponsor me
Yay.
at this point.
Yeah.
Right?
For how much promo they're
Good.
getting for free now. I'm kidding. Yeah. All love. It's all good things, though.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
It's that willpower energy that really, I feel like, inspired every tone, every part, every instrument, every note of our intro and outro music. And it's that energy we hope, our listeners carry on after listening to the intro, the outro, and this podcast and this episode. So, Andy, this has been such a meaningful conversation. Thank you for giving our podcast its sound. And
you brought it to life.
yeah,
You really did.
mhm.
yeah.
to
You guys are so
everyone
welcome.
to everyone listening, this is really proof also that collaboration makes better art and better sound and
Mhm.
better stories. And if you're a creator, remember that accessibility and inclusion starts with who is behind the mic and behind the mix. And so Andy, thank you so much for all you do and for being here and for everything that you've done for us and more to come for sure.
Hey, go listen to our intro and outro, and now you know the heart of it all. You heard the deep dive on how that all came together, and hope you have better appreciation and love for that sound.
Yeah, for sure. I was just gonna add that don't be afraid to make mistakes too. I think it's in the intro. There's a part where the guitar starts to feed back a little bit, and I was like, oh no, but then I listened to it again. I was like, it kind of works. It kind of just gives that gruffness. So like
I had no idea.
sometimes mistakes are perfect too. And I think that fits
I
in
love the
with,
improv
you
options.
know,
Yeah, I think they
like with the
add just
disability.
right, right. It adds just that extra little flair that isn't always bad. It can be a
For sure.
positive, be an asset. So
Yeah, just
yes,
be yourself.
grateful for that.
That's it.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this inclusive space where disability radiates and every listen helps amplify disabled voices that deserve to be heard. We're so grateful you're on this journey with us.
We share real stories, honest conversations, and expert insights that challenge misconceptions. Because disability doesn't define us, it's just a different way of experiencing the world.
Your support keeps this beautifully disabled, slightly chaotic show rolling.
You are truly the real MVPs. We have power, real stories.